Welcome to Young at Harp, episode number 190. What matters most and what's the gift that wants to be seen? I am Kathleen Wiley, a Jungian Psychoanalyst in North Carolina, and I am here with Deborah Henson-Conant, a composer, a mentor, a creative. We both play the harp, and that's why we call this Young at Harp. Almost every week, we come together with a question to explore. We don't start with answers, but we start with a question because we believe there's a lot of power in the art of conversation to open up possibilities that we could never get to by ourselves. So, if you're joining us live, we hope you will join in on the platform you're watching by putting your comments in the chat, and we will incorporate your pearls of wisdom into our dialogue and see what gets created in the process. And just as a reminder, we are now on all of the podcast platforms. So if you prefer to listen instead of going to YouTube and watching the video, look us up on your favorite podcast app. So, what matters most and what's the gift that wants to be seen? So, DHC?
Well, as you were saying that, I was thinking, I wonder if I want to describe how we come up with these questions.
Mm.
And we come up with these questions by meeting. We meet at 10 till 9, and we just start talking. And there comes a point, we were in a conversation just a minute ago, and Kathleen said something about what matters most. And I was like, that's it. That's what I want to ask about. That's what I want to know more about, not from looking it up on the internet, not from looking it up in a book or reading the review on YouTube, but from exploring it in conversation. What matters most? And what's the gift that's wanting to be seen? And the reason that we came up with what's the gift that's wanting to be seen is that Kathleen was talking about she's going to be playing a performance, or her husband has asked her to play with him. He's a fiddle player, and she maybe doesn't feel so comfortable with all the tunes. And so as she was saying that, I was like, ooh, Kathleen, have you done my class, the sing and play harp? So I asked her, I said, the chords are usually 1, 4, 5, right? And she was like, yeah, or maybe a 6 thrown in there. And I was thinking, so what matters most? So what matters most when we're playing with somebody else is that we're comfortable, and that we can provide, that as an accompanist, we can both provide a supportive rhythm, and we can also be flexible if they shift, that we can hear them. And I'm just curious, because when I made this class, Sing and Play Harp, I've been singing my whole life. And when I first started playing harp, I refused to sing. I didn't want to be a chick singer. And it was too easy. It was so easy to sing and play harp that it wasn't something that I could be okay with doing. I was at that part of my life. But when I made the class, I thought, how can I make it as simple as possible for people to be able to sing and play, or accompany others and play? And I looked back to when I was a little kid, and I learned the first 3 chords on the ukulele, which was this big moment for me in my life when I saw that shapes created music, and that I could learn those shapes, and then I had it all. And I don't know if this is relevant, but I mean, there are shapes that I can do very easily, and that I could teach to a person who's never played the harp. Well, no, maybe not. No, I feel that I could, because it's all about how they shape. Like, if I'm trying to get the other fingers out of the way, but literally I'm keeping my middle finger here, moving the bottom and top up, then take the bottom top down, and then I move the top 2 down. So it's like a little dance that I could learn, and it gives you the 3 chords that you would normally use in folk music. And to me, this was both revolutionary and like, wow, how cool is that? And so I made a class out of it, and I just expected people to be like, wow, that's great. It's so simple. Let me do it. Because, as soon as you do it, you can, or then you just learn picking patterns like you do. And the cool thing about the harp is you're not playing in the key of C. Well, go to another key. You do exactly the same shapes. Unlike any other instrument, the shapes are the same in whatever key. And So, like, I felt like when I shared this, it would be like a revolution. People would be like, "Oh, I see. That's so simple. Now I can play a million songs." And it didn't. And it
Mhm.
reminded me of things where I find out the simple way it works, but I won't do it because I want to complexify it. And also, when my therapist years ago said to me with great sadness, "I don't understand. People figure out what works and then they stop doing it."
Mhm.
So, what matters most, and I almost could have as a second question, and what gets in the way of us doing that?
Mm. Yeah.
And the reason that we put in, and what's the gift that wants to be given, is that you said, and this was so beautiful, you said, I'm having a trouble remembering that it can be very simple what you do on the harp, and the harp itself is singing.
Yeah.
We forget that this instrument is powerful, resonant, and has all this magic. It takes very little to set it going. So this is all in the context of me being having anxiety attacks about my, what I am and am not completing of legacy projects, what's out there and what isn't out there. And Kathleen, when you said, well, what matters most, I thought, well, it all matters. It all matters. But it's true that the pieces that matter most to me, by and large, are available to people at this point. Do people know they're available? That's a whole other thing, because that's the next thing you realize is you create something that matters the most to you. You think it's important, and then it's just like with this. I'm like, come on, everybody, this is amazing. But I think I would have to like do a YouTube campaign on it to actually. It was like with this harp when I first, when Kamak first built the first harp, the pro pro the thing that come prototype of the DHC, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the harp of the future. Everybody come on. Just thinking everybody like, oh, I want one. It didn't happen for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then everybody wanted one.
Yeah. Well, you're also alluding to something that's also part of what we have to accept is that what matters most is unique to us. I mean, if we're going to look at being authentic, then what matters most to us and the gift that wants to be seen in our life, it may be a gift to us, but it may not be a gift to someone else. Although we could make, and I do have a mindset that if we put our gifts out there, we all benefit from that, that we all, that we all gain from that. But I think that being willing to ask the question, and for me with the harp is the recognition that doing less is more, because the harp does have that beautiful resonance, and it has an ability to offer something, as you just said, that other instruments don't. And so to try to be like the other instruments, because that's what matters most to that player, that fiddler, that guitarist, that mandolinist, whatever, takes out takes me out of the reality of what matters most for me as a harpist and me with the harp. And so coming back to what it is that does matter to us. And I was also saying that for me, it's sometimes I think about all these things in my life, all of which are related to my passion and what I feel like is my life's work. And I've just realized more and more over the last several years, okay, yeah, it's all connected, but if it's out here and the concentric circles and it's 3 or 4 circles away from the center, it may have to go because I need that energy for what's right in the center or the next circle or two out, because that's where the greatest value is. That's what, when I distill it down to what matters most. And I, like most people, I don't like that because I want to be able to do it all. I mean, but the human experience is not that. you know?
Well, a gazillion things came into my mind, like, well, and it's a little hard to see you because the light is so bright on that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. If I change,
Ooh,
does
well,
that help?
when you're close, I can see you much better. We
Well,
could both get close. So
let's
I
see.
was thinking,
How's that?
yeah, I think, oh, now I can see you. Okay,
Okay.
yay. There's the sunlight is still there, but it's great. It's kind of, now it's almost like something you're wearing, which
Oh,
is
okay.
beautiful. Um, so, oh, I wanna know what these concentrics are, and I wanna know, I was thinking when you were saying, we kinda wanna do it all, but now we can't, and then I was thinking, yeah, well, what if you had a word you weren't allowed to say? I don't know why I thought of that, because of course, if you had a word that you were not allowed to say, you'd find other words to say it. I mean, it's human, language can do that, I guess. So let's go back to the question for a minute. What matters most, and what is the gift? What did we say? And what's the gift that's
Mm-hmm. Wants to be seen.
what is the gift that wants to be seen? Okay, so let's take this thought experiment here. Let's say that whatever it is that we are doing in the world, it is wanting to be seen through us.
Mm-hmm.
We are its servant. What would you say is the gift that wants to be seen, not from what you think from the inside, but from what other people say to you?
Well, but that's a slippery slope because
Okay.
the minute the outside starts telling me what matters most to me or what matters most about my gift, I'm
Mm.
going down this route of comparison
Mm.
and possibly competition. And that is going to totally derail me from what matters most to me. Because if I start comparing myself to other people, it doesn't become about what matters most to me. It's where I am in relationship to what matters most to them or what it is they're telling me should matter to me.
So that's very funny because I'm thinking that when I think about what matters most to me, I'm in like ego. It's like what matters most to me is I'm good enough. Do you think I'm good
Ah,
enough? And when I think about what people say to me matters most, I realize that it is an accessibility, or it is me being me. And when I think about what matters most to me about others, they may think it's all the good works that they do, but what matters most to me is when they express themselves freely.
yeah. And I would say what matters most to me is the quality of their heart.
Uh-huh.
And behind what they do, what they say, what they create is their heart.
I'm gonna pull this up, Ron.
Mm.
It says it, okay. So this is interesting. Always great to hear Miss Deborah inspires my creativity. Okay, so I'm hearing that the gift that wants to be seen or heard is something that inspires something in someone else.
Well, that is one person's experience of
I
the
see.
gift you're offering. Now,
Okay.
maybe that's what matters most to you also.
Hmm.
But again, that's one person's gift, which I'm guessing is a gift a lot of
Mm.
people feel. I mean,
So,
I do
so
think of what we do as being in the inspirational category.
right. So I think what I'm hearing you say, um, and I'm just gonna bring this up
Yeah.
because so and Ron is saying, "Just celebrate. I'll listen to today a most wonderful song of yours I have not stopped listening to in the last 30 years.
Hmm.
The enchanting Late Last Night. Thank you for this amazing gift." Well, thank you, Ron, for mentioning that. And I will just say that this is a really interesting song because it was originally called Untitled, and that was literally its title. And the gift with and it's really interesting that you're saying that because late last night when I was with a record company, they thought that was a song, and so it got reinvented in a new way. And yet the original version of it, which I don't know if it's out there in the world at all, but I think this is relevant to what we're saying,
Hmm.
is in the original when I recorded it with an incredible um, tongue drum player, and he started growling in the middle of the recording. And this growl was just, it had to do with his playing, but this growl was just such a beautiful part of this
Mhm.
thing, and it made me love this performance. And it's so interesting that this gift, if I take this what Ron Hall Kung Fu Bro is saying, then, and I say, and what's the gift that wants to be seen? It makes me think, I want to take that piece out. I want to take out the original version of it, and I want to share that version because it matters most.
Wow. Mhm. And I'm hearing it matters most because it was from the heart. It was an experience in the moment that the drummer, he just allowed himself to go with it, to be
Right.
caught in to be caught by the music and to express his what was coming up, what was being evoked through him. So the authenticity of it, which is to me equates to heart, is what matters most for you in that.
Right. Yeah. And what matters most is that he made the song his own.
Yeah.
And what matters most is that the song was incredibly simple in its form,
Mhm.
and I think it was in an odd meter. I don't know if I could play it. So, and then it went to a chord that doesn't exist on this harp, which I think was something like. Um, and then it just went back, and that was the whole thing. It was like an A. It's just taking it through a chord progression.
Mhm.
It's a very simple chord progression that's like A minor, and then F, and then D, but then there's this ending, and then it comes back. Now it's really hard to do on this harp, not so hard to do on the other harp, but the gift of that song was that it was so simple. It was so simple, and it was open for so much. So I feel like in this conversation, somehow I think I'm going to get to something that I need to hear today. So I'm curious, Kathleen. This song, the structure of this song is very, very simple. And I'm curious if that says anything to you about what you were thinking about in terms of playing with John.
Oh yeah, the simpler the better. The simpler the more powerful. I mean, I think again, you said something when we were talking off camera or alluded to, we take things and make it complicated, or we think complicated is better. When if we're distilling it down to what matters most, it's not the complicated.
But I noticed that I agree, and yet it is so difficult to see what is simple. Like
Mm.
I've noticed this over and over again. So I created this device to teach how to do a specific kind of music. It's a specific kind of form, but it gets used all the time. It got used in Baroque time. It gets used in jazz. It's just a way of looking at music. And it's something I've been trying to teach for 10 years because it is so deeply functional. Just like this thing. It's just absolutely, completely functional. You become this functional musician when you can do this thing. And I've noticed that when I teach it to people, as soon as they get it, as soon as they get functionality, they start complexifying so they never reach fluency.
Mhm.
And so I made this little machine on the internet. You can, like click this button, it takes you to this. And so you don't have to think. It's like go here, go here, go here, go here. And there was someone who was I was in a class and I was showing it to her, and she said, "Okay, but how do I get fluent? I mean, do I play it and then do I try a different kind of thing with it?" And And the way that people were using it was complexifying it. And
Mhm.
I actually had to teach how to non-complexify it. I said, no, here's how you don't complexify it. Here is how you get fluency
Mhm.
with this thing. You take 10 M&Ms, you put them down on the desk, you go through the thing, intro, you figure out exactly what you're going to do for all of these things, and the thing opens up. It's really fun. It opens up and it's like, tick, tick, tick. You press intro, you play what's written, you play, and what's written is like squiggles. You play what's written, then you play theme, you play the theme you chose, which is really simple. Then you play exploration, you play the exploration, you hit click theme, you click ending, click ending, you eat the M&M. Okay, now you go back, you click this and do that, 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 and you eat the M&M. It's it's as bizarre as it may sound. It is the non-thinking repetition
Mhm.
that will allow simplicity and and functionality to come in. And I'm saying non-thinking, but I think it's get your freaking head out of the way, you know, and so that the rest of you can actually engage. Humph.
Well, what you've done with the machine is you've given the thinking function something to do. The thinking selects this intro, this theme, this exploration, this theme, this ending,
Right.
which we need to give the head something to do so it will quit interfering.
Right. So, and what you're saying, what I'm hearing as you say that is that then you can concentrate on the performance, you can concentrate on the
Yeah.
engagement, and you can get that arc. Yeah. Okay. So, but if so, am I hearing that to discover simplicity, or to that we have to get the head out of the way in a sense?
Yeah, I think we have to make the head the servant of the heart's desire, would be how I'd say. So for me, the head has to become the servant of discerning what is it that matters most to my heart, to my felt sense, versus the other way around. So we
Mm.
need the intellect, but the intellect needs to be serving. I'm just going to call it the heart for a minute. The heart being, our essence, being, again, what is it that matters most here? When our head runs away and gets caught up in what other people think, what we've learned we should do,
Mm.
whatever the collective expectation
Mhm.
is, it takes us away from and it quits serving our own essence.
Okay, I want to ask you something about that, because one of the things that happens, and then we're getting great comments here.
Hmm.
Well, I can't read them, but I'm assuming they're great. Um, what happens? Another factor that comes in is curiosity,
Hmm.
and while curiosity is wonderful and creativity is wonderful, they get in the way of actually, like, oddly, they seem to get in the way of what matters most, which seems to come from some kind of different navigation.
Well, again, if we're curious and we want to be creative about something that's coming from out here, but as we're curious and creative about our inner process in relationship to it, I'm thinking about a couple of nights ago, John and I were playing a simple Irish tune, Aaron Boat song, and I had learned it a long time ago, and I had kind of pulled it up, and so we were playing together, and so then I found myself going to just playing the chords and adding a little harmony,
Mm,
and I was just struck with how easy it was for me to do that.
mm,
And I realized it's because I know the song so well. I've played it
mhm,
for so long, and so it just flows. So I didn't have to be, my head wasn't going, oh, am I going to get it right? It's what I do going to sound right. I was just able to be curious
mhm.
about what I was doing, to be curious about the sound, to be creative about, okay, if I did that same chord progression, but I did it with a slightly different intonation, or I did it with a slightly different image in my mind, how would that affect my experience of the song and also what I was hearing? So I think, again, it's who is the creativity and the curiosity serving.
I don't know, but I'm going
Yeah.
to pull up what Lori is saying. Um,
Ah,
it seems that there is no one gift to be seen, but rather the gift that each individual person feels. So there
yes.
would be many, many gifts. That to me is beautiful. And
Yeah.
that's something we discover in the academy as anybody shares anything.
Yes.
We always set ourselves up to be looking for the gift that is the gift for us and then share that with the person. Like Ron Hall Kung Fu Bro just shared with me, which makes me then interested, makes me see a resonance of myself that I didn't see. Um, I want to go back to this. So I'm trying to learn how to write. Those of you who are on my list, you probably know this. I'm trying to learn how to write effective marketing emails. Ones that come from the heart, and this triggers a huge issue in me that I've had my whole life, which
Mhm.
is like I used to have to write thank you letters to my aunts for presents that I didn't ask for. And I didn't know how to, I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't
Mhm.
know how to, I knew how to do creative writing, but I didn't know how to do writing that would be like, was talking about a thing that they gave me or that, I mean, um, and it's been a painful and difficult my whole life because it's a place where I am not self-expressed. And I see myself very much in the people in the academy. I can see their struggle in my struggle with this. And when a teacher was showing me something, and I just wanted to say, can we please just do this over and over and over again? Can you just
Mhm.
take me through it over and over again? Let me do it badly. Just let me do it so I can feel how it goes.
Yeah.
And yet I find that each teacher is, no, 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 you can just do it. It's just like this. And I'm like, stop, just stop. I mean, give me the give me a chance
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
find my way into this. And I think what you're talking about in terms of playing with others, if you grow up playing with other people, you get the chance to
Right.
do it over and over and over again. When you do it over and over and over again, you're not trying to get it the same way. You're not trying to get it the same way. You're not necessarily trying to do something different, but you're just doing it. You're in that moment. You're playing this song. This song goes like this, and you're playing with your friend. Something happens.
Right.
You connect, and I find that with so many things that are difficult for me, I haven't gotten that connection. So there's no fluency. It doesn't speak for me.
Yeah.
And I see in the students and the members of the academy, they provide me a reflection of myself
Mhm.
as I see them not being okay doing the thing that's easy and that could be fluent. They want to make it different. And one person even said that when she was looking at this, she was like, well, if I follow this, all my music is going to sound the same. And yes, if you constrict yourself to it, it will all sound the same. But if you use it as a foundation and trust that A, you're going to make mistakes, and those mistakes are going to show you new things. B, you are innately creative, and body's going to do things without you even knowing it.
Mhm.
C, we are creatures that are we one of our maybe only innate things that we do is to mimic. It's how we learn to speak by mimicking. We will
Mhm.
do it. You will accidentally play something the way that somebody else did without even trying. And so it's that what matters most. I know. I feel like I'm babbling on. So help, and I bet you've got something to say about this. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that what you're sharing by your example of having grown up playing music with people is that you put yourself in a crucible where you do the same thing over and over, but then you begin to realize in the process it doesn't stay the same.
right,
that your own felt sense in the moment, the atmosphere in the room, what another musician or singer may do that's slightly different,
Right.
that it becomes something that's creative. It's always in movement, it's not static. And yes, sometimes we start with what seems like a static practice. We may
Right.
start with a static structure, a static concept. But if we approach it in terms of what matters most, then what we are doing is that structure or that whatever is it's an invitation. It's like a doorway to an experience that is what matters most.
Yeah, and this reminds me, as you were speaking, it reminded me of what you said in the beginning when you said about your harp, and I think you said it off screen, that you're doing something and you're forgetting that it it is also here. Or if I'm in a conversation with someone and I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing, I'm forgetting they are in the conversation. It
Mhm.
is a collaboration. And as is music, I'm just going to pull
Yes.
this up.
Yeah.
Um, oh, and Ron Hall Kung Fu Bro also says I do martial arts and in film, and I find the same issues. And I'm thinking the same. I'm assuming this is same issues of like, yeah, whenever we try to do something and we try to complexify it, and we try to look. I'm putting words in his mouth, but the words that he put in his mouth were mimicking is essential. Oh, because no two people interpret things in the exact same way. So the individuality allows for uniqueness and
Mhm.
originality. Right. So when we think we're mimicking, we're not. We are, but we're not. We're not trying to get it exactly right. I mean, in Pygmalion or My Fair Lady, yeah, she's trying to get the speech right, but you're right. We're interpreting. And
Mhm.
so then it just becomes a greater part. And so I guess this is something I keep hearing myself talk about this, so I guess it's something I really need to be hearing. It's easy to say simplicity, not easy to find it. It's it's easy to say what matters most, not so easy, at least for me, to find it. Like I there's something that I have to do to understand what matters most. I know what I think I know what matters most, like in the song Late Last Night. I think what matters most is that it's a very conducive um form. Like that's like because I'm all about form is everything.
I- Um, yeah, I mean, I think, and Laurie said it beautifully, the gifts are going to be different for each individual. So for you, the gift of the song may very well be the form, but for me or for Ron or someone else,
Mhm.
the gift may be the affect it puts us in touch with. It may be the ambiance that it allows us to move into in the environment we're in. So I think that, the gift does it, the gift is unique to each individual, and that is the beauty. And I think part of why we complexify things is that we lose trust that if I put my essence out there, that it will actually be experienced as a gift to other people.
I
So
mean,
then we start to complicate it, and versus just saying, okay, this is where the juice is for me, this is where the beauty is for me, and trusting that perhaps that will be something in there that will resonate for another as a gift.
so I think, well, let me ask you this. What I was thinking when you were saying this was as soon as it's simple enough that I feel like I'm being seen, that I can just
Mm.
be seen, I'm gonna complexify it. This is reminding me of years ago, I played a song of mine for we had a bunch of songwriting friends, and so we play songs for each other, and I think I've mentioned this before, and I played a song for him, and he said, "Why did you do it like that?" And I said, "Like what?" And he said, "Like, you did it like you just played it, like, without emotion or anything." I was
Ah,
like, "Yeah, because I want you to like the song, not my performance of it." And he said, well, the whole point of the song is that it can be expressive. Like, you're just like, "What are you
right,
doing?"
right, 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 right.
So why did I say this just now? It was relevant to what you said.
Well, because you were leaving out what the real meaning is, which is the expression, the self-expression, the experiencing of it. And
Ah.
so you were doing it from an abstract intellectual, oh, this is the form of the song, I want you to hear it. But he was missing the essence, the soul of it, your relationship to it, which is always feeling toned.
Yes, yes. And it's interesting because I find myself as I keep trying to teach the simplicity because I'm determined to teach a certain level of fluency so that people can actually be expressing with music. And I find myself saying, this is simple, and you can have you can have complete expressivity at any, even with that. I mean, if you're just playing the notes, yeah, it's, but without doing anything different, I mean, I'm breaking it, which makes it even easier in some way. Even if I did it like that, if I'm having a feeling about it, it becomes musical. And you're right. I mean, that's what we're listening for. Even though I think you're listening, yeah, we each think somebody's listening for them. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's pull these up. So Lori's saying, even within the individual, the gift can change because we grow and are different every day. So this is my gift today. Yeah, and because we forget. We forget. What did I do yesterday? I don't know. I'm going to have to make it up again today. And if the form is simple enough, you can make it up again today because it's not the exact notes that are important. Ron is saying, what has really attracted me to late last night is how the sound build and winds and explodes in the final section. So, right, okay, very
Mhm.
cathartic. So the simplicity of right, and it explodes exactly. The structure itself opens out in that way. It
Mhm.
has that opening, and it's really interesting because you can actually do something almost similar to that with something as simple as playing. I'm just playing E. I'm playing like an E open fifth. You can try this. And then I'm playing all the white strings. And then if I just go up one step, I just go up one step and it opens up. So that closing down and opening up can be done in a very simple way. What are you thinking? I feel like I'm.
I was just thinking about again the felt sense, that the felt sense is the gift comes through the experience, not an abstract intellectual understanding of it. I was also having this thought, and and this may be sacrilege to say, so I'm going to say it. Is I don't think we can teach flow or fluency, but I think we can teach tools to support oneself and having the flow and fluency of their own nature. I mean, I'm thinking about how, you can't teach someone to be fluent. I can't teach someone to be in the flow of their own psyche, but I can teach them principles or tools or practices or structures that can hold them so they can relax into the flow of who they are, or they can experience the fluency that's within them. So I was having one of those kinds of just a different angling of what you were saying, because I think that if my goal was to get, to teach people to be in the flow, and although I might say this is going to be a benefit of being in the embodiment circle, what I'm really doing, if I'm going to get more specific and technical, is I am teaching principles and practices and structures and attitudes that will invite you to feel and know that. It's kind of like in meditation. meditation is not the visualization you do or the mantra you use. Meditation is the state of consciousness you get into as a result of that. So I was having that same reflection about fluency and flow.
Yeah, that's great. I love that because as you said that, right, the fluency is what happens as a result. And as you were saying that, I was thinking there was a but in my head, which was, but you have, and this is probably not true, but meditating will help you get to that. Meditating will help you connect to that, right? I
Yeah.
mean, okay, all right. So right, so yes, going through this little machine that I made or whatever it is, toy, it will help you experience what fluency is.
Yes.
I see,
Yes.
I see, I
It will
see.
help you experience.
Yeah,
That's the
right,
operative word here.
right.
Experiencing.
Right. I'll pull this up. Very common in young people who choose to dismiss foundation as boring when it provides the basis for the
Yeah.
complexity as its anchor. I'm
Yes.
gonna take that's yeah, exactly. Right. And there are other way. I mean, I think there are other ways that people can learn other than the way that I'm teaching them in this particular class. Um, but um, but yeah, I do want people to have that anchoring so that they can have that fluency. And
Yeah.
yeah, so Ron, in Caught in the Act,
Uh-huh.
oh wow, for 35 years. Oh well, yes. Also yesterday, feels like yesterday. Um, and Lori, there's another version. I would love to pull out both those versions and see if I can make a blog post out of them because they each have their own power. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, it's time for us to end.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my big takeaway from this, oh, Victoria, wait, that is lively. Support the flow and fluency to be our own nature.
Yeah.
Yes. Help us experience fluency in our own ways, as fluency can be different one from one person to another.
Yes.
Correct. And
Yes.
yet I find we and certainly people are always putting that complexifying without the foundation. I know I struggle with that. And so what I'm walking away with today is A, meditate, and look for other, well, maybe talk to you more about this, but look for other structures that
Mhm.
I can sequences, things that can allow me to experience fluency and
Mhm.
experience that self-expression
Mhm.
within a
Yeah.
form, within a form. I think that's what I'm searching for. Self-expression within a form that's foreign to me at the moment.
Mhm. And I'm going to stick with the foundation of the simplicity of the harp and
Mm.
finding the single note or the broken chord or whatever that will provide just the right harmony and accompaniment to the melodies that my husband's going to play because I don't want it to be complex. I want it to be beautiful. That's what has meaning for me. So I want it to be beautiful.
Well, that's beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I love the image of you finding what will accompany him. And
Mhm.
because it brings me back to that thing, which is the gift that's waiting to be seen, is the other, is that we are not alone, that there is another in this. Well, Kathleen, thank you again. And thank you, Ron and Lori and Victoria and everybody else who was watching today, here speaking or not speaking, and who watches later on and who reaches out to us and speaks or not speaks. Just thank you for this conversation. It's so much a rich part of my life. Thank you and farewell.
Bye-bye.
I